Emery, when are you going to get pregnant? Women are supposed to have kids, you know. Don't you want my parents to have their grandchild? Having a child is a blessing, isn't it? I want a child too. You don't have to say it like that. Besides, you're always focused on work. Huh? Are you trying to blame me? You are at fault for not getting pregnant. Oh well, maybe marrying you was a mistake after all. My husband, Samuel, spat out and left for work as usual. It's been 2 years since we got married, but we still don't have any children. My husband wants children, but he prioritizes work, rarely spending time at home even on weekends. Of course, there's hardly any intimacy between us as a couple. In such a situation, it seems impossible to conceive. Yet, my husband constantly blames and condemns, saying things like women wives are supposed to have children. We couldn't even have a decent conversation about it. I see, it must have been tough for you, Emery. Honestly, I don't understand what Samuel is thinking. He is mean. When we got married, he wasn't like this. He seems irritable, especially these days. I don't know what to do. Maybe you should talk it out once, even if you end up parting ways. If the situation stays this way, you'll collapse, Emery. The one who listened to my story and said this was my older sister, Kinsley. My sister and I didn't have parents, and she was like my parent for me. I had thought about talking to my in-laws about this, but it's hard for me to do that when it comes to the topic about children. However, I can talk to my sister about anything. She understands me the best and I can trust her. Yet, I felt guilty toward my sister. She worked day and night to raise me, and she ended up breaking up with her boyfriend due to misunderstandings. Still, when I got married to my husband, she was happier and more supportive than anyone else. I don't want to cause any more worry to her. Maybe I should refrain from asking for advice for a while. As I was thinking like that, my sister suddenly said, "It's hard to say this at a time like this, but I'm actually pregnant." Huh? Pregnant? Kinsley, you have a boyfriend? I met someone overseas. I didn't have opportunities to introduce him, and, well, Emery, you know. You were not doing well with Samuel. It must have been difficult for her to bring it up, because she knew things weren't going well between my husband and me. I felt bad. My sister always puts me first. I can't deny that there's a twinge of envy, but I genuinely want to congratulate her with all my heart. Now it's my turn to support her. Although I was surprised by the sudden news of her pregnancy, I decided to congratulate her and support her during her pregnancy. After I have a baby, I'll live overseas, my sister said, looking genuinely happy. After that, I went to my sister's house regularly to help with her daily life, and she gave birth without any issues. My parents-in-law were also overjoyed. Although they never said anything about me not having children, seeing them like that, it was evident that they wanted a grandchild. It had been a few days since my sister had a baby, and I was at my in-laws' house. That day, the relatives were going to have a gathering to celebrate my sister for having a baby. I told them there was no need to gather like this, but your parents-in-law were so enthusiastic, so I thought it might be rude to refuse, my sister said with a troubled tone, but she had a happy expression on her face. I had been preparing for this day, wanting to make her happy, so I had told her, "Look forward to it." As I entered my in-laws' house, relatives were gathered as planned, chatting and laughing. Thinking that everyone had gathered for my sister, I felt happy, but my feelings were a bit complex. Kinsley, you did well. Your baby is really cute. Good job, Emery. Your sister was able to deliver her baby without problems, because you had supported her. My in-laws welcomed us with words of praise and smiles all around. Other relatives also had smiles on their faces, and they kept saying how cute, as they admired the baby. Amidst the celebratory mood, there was one person who seemed out of place. It was my husband, Samuel. He didn't even pay attention to the baby, and he was just drinking in the corner of the room. Concerned, I left the crowd and approached him. Samuel, what's wrong? Why the gloomy face? You really don't get it, do you? I feel miserable because we don't have children. When will it happen for us? My husband gave me a disdainful look and bitter words while he was glaring at me. Even in the midst of this celebratory atmosphere, he maintained his usual attitude. I've told you before, but having a child is a blessing. Besides, you're hardly ever at home. How am I supposed to get pregnant? Are you saying that again? It's your fault for not being attractive. Kinsley is so beautiful. And are you really her sister? What's that supposed to mean? You've been thinking that way? Sure, my sister is beautiful, but how can you say that to me? I correct myself. My husband wasn't his usual self. Perhaps he was a little bit drunk and his words were even harsher than usual. Maybe they heard my husband's words, or I unconsciously gritted my teeth to suppress anger and they heard it. It was probably the former, and my in-laws approached us. What happened, Samuel? Emery looks pale. Emery, are you okay? Samuel, did you say something to her? I didn't say anything bad. I just told her that she should have a baby soon since you guys probably want to see your grandchild. My husband casually mentioned such a thing with an indifferent expression. Although my in-laws seemed puzzled, my husband stood up, seemingly unconcerned, and headed towards my sister. Looking towards us, he added sarcastically, "Wow, babies are really cute, aren't they? I want one too." I was going to have a proper conversation with my husband after this celebration. However, I had reached my limit when I saw my husband's grinning face and heard his disdainful remarks towards me. Samuel, what are you talking about? You already have one. That baby is yours, right? Immediately, cold air swept through, as if my in-laws' house had frozen. It showed that everybody understood what I meant. The baby my sister is holding is the child she had with my husband, Samuel. However, they all seemed confused. It was understandable. It didn't make sense, and they were unsure if it was even true. Huh? Have you lost your mind? There's no way that it's my baby, right? Kinsley? Of course not. Why would you say something like that, Emery? Everyone seems puzzled. Almost at the same time as she said this, I threw something I had prepared in front of my relatives. They were further confused, but my husband and sister were different. They turned paler and paler instead. Samuel, Kinsley, I know everything. This is the evidence. Everyone, take a look. What I threw were several documents and photos, evidence that my husband and sister were having an affair. What is this? When did you prepare something like this? I think it was after Kinsley got pregnant. Thanks to you, I was able to gather evidence. Thank you so much. I had noticed the affair through emails on my husband's computer. While researching for the childbirth celebration, my phone ran out of battery, so I decided to use my husband's computer. That's when I noticed several emails. Thinking, oh, Samuel exchanges emails on the computer. I casually opened a folder, and strangely there were some emails from my sister. The contents were more than enough to make me realize the affair. There were words like "I miss you" and "I love you." And it also said, "I'm pregnant with your child." I didn't want to believe it, but I had been deceived by my husband and sister. I guess my husband didn't come home because of the affair. I was filled with a sense of why, rather than feeling that I couldn't forgive them. I hired a private investigator and managed to gather evidence of the affair as a result. Samuel, Kinsley, explain what's going on. I mean, provide a convincing explanation. Can something like this really happen? You've been cheating on your wife, Samuel, and you've been deceiving your own sister, Kinsley? My in-laws wore expressions of anger I had never seen before. It seemed that the relatives couldn't help but give my husband and sister cold looks. No, everyone. It's not what you think. It's not my child. I didn't cheat. Believe me. Despite my husband's excuses, with the evidence right in front of them, no one believed him. He seemed to know that no one was buying it, so he was panicking, sweating profusely. Samuel, it's okay. We can clear this up with a DNA test for the child. Should we do it right away? That way, your innocence can be proven, right? Upon hearing this suggestion, my husband, who had been panicking, froze. I don't know what he was thinking, but didn't he see this coming? If so, he truly is foolish. Perhaps everyone felt the same way, and their gaze towards my husband grew colder. The one who changed the situation was my sister. I'm so sorry. It's me. I'm entirely at fault. I've been lonely for years, and became envious of my sister. We don't have parents, and I had worked tirelessly for my sister. By the time I realized it, I had no opportunities to meet someone. I know everything I say sounds like an excuse, but I genuinely regret it. Please forgive me. My sister tearfully apologized. My in-laws knew about our situation, and I'm sure that they had shared it with the relatives. The atmosphere changed, as everyone witnessed my sister sincerely repenting, and started thinking that my sister did something she shouldn't have, but she was truly remorseful. However, I felt differently, because... Kinsley, stop lying. I know everything, so I know that you're just acting. Huh? What do you mean? I'm really regretting my actions. Before my sister could finish the sentence, I pressed a button. In that instant, everyone's expressions changed dramatically. What I had pressed was the button on a voice recorder. The recorded audio started playing, and the voices of my sister and husband could be heard. Samuel, could you harass and pressure Emery? That way, you can get divorced smoothly. All right. But is it really okay to do that? Won't we get sued? Leave that to me. I'll guide you well. Once the divorce is settled, we can move overseas and live happily together. You're such a terrible big sister. What are you talking about? Emery, who only seeks her happiness, is worse, isn't she? At that point, I turned it off. I'm sure it was already enough for my parents-in-law and relatives to learn my sister's true colors. I went to your house to take care of you, right? That's when I planted the bug. I wanted to know the reason for the affair so badly. So, the plan to go overseas after giving birth was to escape with Samuel, wasn't it? I don't think someone who makes such a plan would reflect on her actions. No, it's just that. Perhaps she realized that there was no way out, and my sister fell silent. My husband was trembling slightly, probably because he was unable to withstand the cold stares. Why did you do something like this? I've always trusted you, Kinsley. It's your fault. You stole Samuel from me. Samuel is my ex-boyfriend. We had broken up once, because I was working so hard to support you and there was a misunderstanding. I was really surprised when you told me that you were getting married. Since then, I've despised you. My sister worked tirelessly day and night to support me. Because of that, she had broken up with her boyfriend in the past. I never knew that the boyfriend was my husband, Samuel. My sister didn't tell me much about her ex-boyfriend, and Samuel never told me about his relationship with her either. Samuel, get out. There's no way that I can forgive you for this. Don't come back to our house ever again. Wait, Dad. Are you disowning me? Please reconsider. I'm not at fault. I was just manipulated by Kinsley. I'm a victim too. You scoundrel, do you even realize what you're saying? How can you blame others after betraying Emery? Get out right now. No, I won't. Hey, Emery, can you convince my mom and Dada? Every man cheats at least once, right? Forgive me. He remained foolish until the very end, not realizing he was tightening the noose around his own neck. But I think I was even more foolish. I married a person like him, and tried to devote myself to him. What a mistake I had made. The only thing you can do is sign the divorce papers, and pay alimony. No one will be on your side anymore. I'll make you live alone for the rest of your life. Marrying you was a mistake. I handed him the divorce papers, and said the things he had told me back at him. After that, my in-laws took care of the child. It seemed that they decided that they couldn't entrust the child to my husband and sister. My husband, who was kicked out of the house, faced disdainful glances at work as well. I had reported the affair to his company, and rumors quickly spread. Although my husband was demoted and was relocated, even the people at his new office gave him cold looks, and it seems that he is very uncomfortable there. Struggling mentally, he seems to be deteriorating day by day, but he can't quit his job, because he has alimony to pay. Apparently, my sister and he fight every day, and it's only a matter of time before they parted ways. There was a sense of serves you right toward my husband and sister, but the shock of being betrayed by my sister, whom I trusted, was more painful than I had imagined. Emery, I'm truly sorry. The fact that our son did something like that is our responsibility as his parents. If you ever need help or run into trouble, please don't hesitate to rely on us. It may not fully atone for what happened, but we're on your side. Even though we're not your in-laws anymore, consider us as friends who are a bit older, watching over you. I quietly nodded to my in-laws, who said those words. I don't have biological parents. My sister raised me acting as my parent. I'm grateful for that, and I wanted to repay her. However, I don't think we can go back to the way things were before. I thought I was all alone, but there are people who support and stand by me. The thoughts made my burden a little lighter. Now, I want to repay my in-laws. That's my focus, as I move forward in life.